last half of the practice in a more slower yin based sequence. So today you will need a couple of props. Now I know you're all at home, so we're going to use home props. So if you have a couple of firm-ish cushions, maybe grab 2 of them. If you have a bolster, fantastic, use your bolster. Same with your block. If you have a block, use your block. If you don't have a block, it's perfectly okay. You can again use your firmer cushions, or if you want to, you can find yourself a nice, fairly durable, solid book to use as well. The one other thing I will suggest that you have is some form of strap. So I haven't quite got around to cleaning out the roof space in my garage yet in lockdown. So this morning I have got my dressing gown rope strap. I do have straps, they're just all the way up in the garage and I haven't got there yet. So I'm going to be using my dressing gown rope for my strap this morning. Other than that, we're going to begin our practice on the mat, nice and gently in our child's pose. So come all the way down to the floor, take the knees nice and wide, settle the hips down towards the heels, just wriggle around a little bit. This might be the first movement that you've done with the hips this morning, so depending on what you did yesterday in your home workout, or if you went for a walk or a run, they might be feeling a little bit stiff and tender. From here, allow the upper body to fold all the way forward. Forearms and elbows can come down to the floor. Forehead meets the mat. If the mat is feeling like it's a little bit far away for you, this is where grabbing your block or even your pillow for underneath your forehead might just be a little bit more comfortable on the head and the neck. So we're going to start here in our child's pose with a few rounds of nice deep breath. So on your inhale, start to fill the lungs and the belly all the way up to maximum capacity. And on your exhale, start to empty all the way out. Inhaling to fill all the way out. And exhaling to empty all the way out. So just continue this rhythmical breathing here in your child's pose. As you start to become presently aware of where you are, what's going on in your body, always bringing that focus back to the breath. We're going to go for 5 more nice big breaths here. Then on your next inhale, you're gently going to come all the way up onto the fingertips and start to spider walk yourselves all the way over to the right side of your mat, lifting the head up and then placing it back down, giving yourselves a really nice side stretch all the way up in between those left ribs. I'm going for 3 nice big breaths here. And on your next inhale, you're going to spider walk yourselves all the way back to center. And exhale all the way over to the left. Again, placing the head back down on the floor. This time stretching all the way out through the right side of the body. 3 nice big breaths here. And then again on your next inhale, we're going to come all the way back to center. And staying in our child's pose legs here, all we're going to do is come into our thread the needle. So staying up on the fingertips of the left hand, take the right arm and slide it all the way underneath the left, bringing the right shoulder to the floor, the right ear to the floor. So you might notice that the hips lift up ever so slightly here, and that's perfectly okay. Once you've got that right shoulder and right ear to the floor, you can relax that left arm down to the mat. So here we're working more into the rotator cuff and the rhomboids at the back of the body. Really just starting to stretch and strengthen through the shoulder blades. I'm going to stay here for another 3 nice big breaths. And to come out of this side, we're just going to come back onto those fingertips on the left hand and inhale the right arm all the way out to the top of the mat. And switching sides, this time left arm slides all the way underneath the right, left shoulder to the floor, left ear to the floor, right arm can then relax down onto the mat. Three more breaths here. And coming up on the fingertips of that right hand, inhale to come all the way back out, and exhale to fold back into your child's pose for 2 more nice deep breaths. And then from here, we're going to inhale those hands underneath the shoulders as you lift the upper body all the way out. Lifting the hips up, we're going to come into a wide-kneed tabletop. So we're going to keep the knees nice and wide here in that kind of child's pose stance. Hands are going to come instead of our traditional tabletop where the wrists, elbows and shoulders in a nice long line. We're going to step the hands forward ever so slightly. Yeah? So from here, on your inhale, we're going to drop the belly, roll the shoulders and send the gaze up. Coming into a slight variation of our cow pose. And then as we exhale, we're going to drop the hips all the way back down into this extended child's pose. Then from here, on your next inhale, we're going to come all the way forward. Again, rolling the shoulders, dropping the belly, but this time we're lifting the toes and sinking the hips. Coming into our sort of swan-like position. Exhale. You're going to come all the way back into that extended child's pose. Nice work. Round 2. Inhaling to come all the way forward. Rolling the shoulders, dropping the hips, sending the gaze up. Exhale to gently roll back. And just continue this nice gentle motion. Inhaling to come forward. And exhaling to come all the way back. For a couple more breaths, a couple more rounds. Just going nice and slowly. Just really bringing a little bit of that movement, a little bit of fluidity back into the lower back, into the sacral area, starting to recirculate and clear out any stiffness. Going for 3 more here. When you've done those last 3, coming all the way back to center. This time we are going to come into our tabletop position. Hands are going to be back underneath the shoulders. So we've got wrists, elbows and shoulders back into their normal alignment here in our tabletop. And all we're going to do is pushing the flats of the feet down into the mat. We're going to lift the knees off the floor. Just hover them here. Look down towards the thumbs and keep the crown of the head drawing forward. For 3 nice big breaths. And then release. Take a nice big inhale here. And an exhale to empty all the way out. We're going to come into round 2 of those knee raises. So on your next inhale, push the feet down, lift the knees for 3 nice big breaths. And gently come. From here, we're going to come into a gentle bit of core work. So from this tabletop position, we're going to kick that right leg all the way back and then send out the left arm. So really important here is to keep the hand that's raised and the foot that's raised nice and flexed. Take a big inhale to lengthen all the way through the length of the body and exhale to curl the elbow and knee all the way in. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to curl. Nice work with the breath all the way out and exhale to curl it. Keep on going. 4 more. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Kicking all the way out, holding for a breath. And then left hand to the floor, right knee to the floor. Same thing on the other side. This time right knee grounds down, left hand stays down, kicking the left leg all the way back, right arm coming out. Again, keeping the foot and the hand nice and strong. Take a big inhale to lengthen, exhale to curl. 2. Nice work. Keep going. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to curl. 6 more. For 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. Reaching all the way out, holding for a breath. And then right hand to the floor, left knee to the floor. Go ahead and give your hips a bit of a sway from side to side. And then planting the hands down into the mat, engaging those fleshy parts of the fingers. Curl the toes under, leading with the hips. Downward facing dog. Now go ahead and give your legs a nice little walk out in your first downward dog. Bend through the knees. Raise the heels up and down. And again, maybe even sway the hips from side to side. Rolling over the balls of the feet. And then when you're ready, finding your neutral downward facing dog, give yourselves 3 nice big breaths here. If the hamstrings are particularly tight, keep that micro bend in the knees. And then keep externally rotating those shoulders down and away from the ears. So setting up now for a little bit of a gentle flow. On your next inhale, raise the right leg all the way up to the ceiling. Look towards the hands, step the right foot forward. Left knee is going to come all the way down to the floor. From here, left hand stays on the mat. Inhale the right arm all the way up. Coming for that easy twist in our low lunge. From here, the right hand is going to come down to the inside of that right foot, and we're going to turn the back knee under like a little kickstand and straighten all the way out with that right leg, bringing the toes to the side of the mat and coming up into our gate pose. From here, inhale the arms all the way up, and then exhale the upper body over to the left. And hold just for a breath. Inhale, the arms come back up, turning the front toes towards the front of your mat, bend the front knee, hands come back down, turn the back knee, curl the left toes and step back, downward facing dog. A little bit of a tricky transition there. Inhale, left leg all the way up, Look towards the hands, step the left foot forward. Same thing, other side, right knee comes down. Right hand stays on the floor. Left arm all the way up. Definitely getting my left and rights mixed up this morning. Nice big breaths. From here, left hand down to the inside of the left foot. We're going to turn the right leg so we come into that kickstand-like position. As we walk the hands around, we're going to turn the left toes towards the back side of the mat. Inhale, arms coming all the way up into gate pose. Exhale, we're tilting to the right. Nice big breath here. Then inhaling back to center, hands to the floor. Turn the left toes to the front of your mat, bend through the left knee as you turn the back foot back. Hands either side of the left foot, step back, downward facing dog. Nice work. Give yourselves a nice big inhale and a long exhale here in your downward facing dog. From that one, we're going to extend it a little bit more. So on your next inhale, raise the right leg all the way up. Look towards the hands, step the right foot forward. This time we're going to kick the back leg up. Left hand stays down on the mat. Inhale the right arm all the way up. So coming into our crescent easy twist. Right hand comes down to the inside of that right foot. We're going to drop the back heel down and inhale all the way up into warrior two. Flip the front palm, reverse your warrior. Two nice big breaths here in our reverse warrior. Then inhaling to come all the way back up. And cartwheeling the hands down to the floor. Turn the back heel, step back, downward facing dog. Same thing, other side. Left leg all the way up. Look towards the hands, step the left foot forward. Right hand stays down, left arm all the way up. Crescent easy twist. And then that left hand comes down to the inside of that left foot. We're taking the right heel down to the floor and inhaling all the way up. Warrior two. Flip the front palm, reverse your warrior. Two big breaths here. And then inhaling to cartwheel the hands down to the floor. Turning the back heel, step back, downward facing dog. So we have two more rounds here of that last little flow we just did. So inhaling the right leg all the way up. Look towards the hands, step the right foot forward. Left hand stays down. Right arm reaches up. So just going with your own flow of breath here. Right hand comes down to the floor. Turn the left heel down. Inhale, warrior two. So your gaze here is over those front middle fingers. Then we're flipping the palm and reversing our warriors. Two nice big breaths. Inhaling to come up and to cartwheel. Hands to the floor. Turn the back heel, step back. Downward facing dog. When you're ready, inhaling the left leg all the way up. Look to the hands, step the left foot forward. Right hand stays down. Left arm comes up. Left hand comes down to the inside of that left foot. Right heel comes down. Inhale, warrior two. Flip the front palm, reverse your warrior. Inhale into cartwheel, hands to the floor. Turn the back heel, step back, downward facing dog. Last round, right leg all the way up. Look towards the hand, step the right foot forward, left hand stays down, right arm all the way up. Right hand to the inside of the right foot, left heel turns down, warrior two. Flip and reverse. Inhale to cartwheel back to the floor, downward facing dog. Left side, left leg all the way up. Look to the hand, step it through. Right hand stays down, left arm all the way up. Left hand to the mat. Right heel down, warrior two on your inhale. Flip and reverse. And then inhale into cartwheel. Hands to the floor, turn the right heel up, step back. Downward facing dog. Two nice big breaths here in your downward dog. And then from here, looking towards the hands, we're going to inhale and roll all the way forward into a high plank. Holding our high plank here for two nice big breaths. So drawing back with the heels, engaging the glutes and the thighs, and drawing the belly button towards the spine. One more nice big inhale. One nice big exhale. And then the knees are going to come down to the floor. As you exhale the upper body all the way down, keeping those elbows tight. So setting up for some gentle back bends here. If your lower back is quite sensitive, please come into Sphinx with the elbows directly underneath the shoulders, palms of the hands down to the mat or to the floor. Otherwise, if you're all right in your lower back, hands are going to stay underneath the shoulders. Either way, on your inhale, you're going to gently lift up through the spine, rolling those shoulder blades towards one another, and lifting up through the crown of the head. On your exhale, we're melting back towards the mat. We're going to go for two more back bends here, Sphinx or Cobra. On your inhale, gently coming up. And exhale, lower. One more here. Inhale, gently coming up. And exhale, coming down. From here, curl the toes, push through the knees and the upper body. Come back into your downward facing dog. So from our downward dog, we're going to start to come a little bit closer towards the mat and start to slow things down a little bit. On your next inhale, raise the right leg all the way up to the ceiling. Then look towards the right wrist, and we're going to sweep that right knee down behind the right wrist. Then take the leg at the back, so that left leg all the way down to the floor. Setting up for our half pigeon here on the right side. So if you're very tight through the hips here, there is an option to stay nice and high in your half pigeon. So that's when we're just going to be using our fingertips to balance. If you're feeling pretty good here and you really want to get a little bit deeper into that right hip and right glute area, we're going to be folding the upper body forward. The key thing here in our half pigeon is to make sure that the hips stay squaring forward. So kind of exactly the same direction as what the sides of your mat are doing. If you feel like you're going to collapse a little bit to the right, onto that right hip, a block underneath the right side is really helpful. If you feel like you might do that on the left side and go more over to that collapsing of the left thigh, and you've got 2 blocks, use a block underneath the left thigh. If you haven't got yourself a block, that's when your cushions can become quite helpful. So you really just want to stuff the cushion underneath that left thigh to keep those hips squaring forward. From here, if you're feeling pretty good, we're going to start to lower the upper body all the way forward. Again, if you've got another cushion or bolsters, place them underneath the chest, allow the head to rest on them. We really want the upper body to be nice and relaxed here in our half pigeon. The majority of the work that's going to be happening is happening below the belly button, all apart from the breath. If this half pigeon pose is just not working for you this morning, or if you've ever had MCL, ACL, PCL, anything done in the knee, I would much prefer you to come to lying on your backs, cross the right ankle over the left thigh, and then pick the thigh up, with the hands, and do your half pigeon on your back. It's exactly the same pose, exactly the same stretch, it just takes all the pressure out of that front right knee. So, whichever half pigeon you're going to be going into, set yourselves up, give yourselves a little bit of time here, because we are going to be holding our half pigeon. We really want to be able to work all the way into those deeper connective tissue areas. And we want to be able to relax the upper body. So coming into your half pigeon, allow the forehead to rest wherever it likes, on its block, on the mat, or even on your cushion. Close down the eyes. And connect with your breath. So those nice big inhales and nice long exhales. We're going to be giving ourselves a decent amount of time here in our half pigeon. Traditionally, this pose would be held for a good 3 to 5 minutes on each side. We're not going to be throwing ourselves into that amount of time today, not to begin with anyway. It is certainly something that we can build up to. But this morning we'll go for about 1 to 2 minutes here, so that's about 10 to 20 nice deep yogi breaths. Sixty more seconds on this right side. very nice and slowly. On your next inhale, you're just going to take each hand underneath the shoulders. Move any props just to the side of your mat. Curl the back toes under, and we're going to take a nice downward dog from here. So gently lifting back up with the right leg, downward facing dog. So go ahead and just walk your legs out. If you were doing your half pigeon on your back, feel free to just switch your legs over, because we're going to be going straight on into the left side. So after you've given your legs a little bit of a walk out, inhale the left leg all the way up to the ceiling. Look towards the left wrist and slip the left knee down behind that left wrist, setting up for your half pigeon on the left side. Now, there may be a difference between your right and left sides, so that is something to bear in mind. It might be that you prefer to do your left side on your back. Otherwise, grabbing your blocks or your cushions for underneath the left thigh, the left hip if you're going to go that way, or the right thigh if you feel like you're tilting inwards. Set yourself up with your base. It's only fair that we hold the left side for the same amount of time as we held the right, purely for psychological reasons, and so you don't leave your practice feeling a little bit wonky on one side. Once you've got your props and blocks where you'd like them, bow the upper body forward and melt into your half pigeon here on the left side. So begin by closing down the eyes and relaxing the face, and then just come back to those nice deep inhales and those really long exhales. So even though we are not as dynamic or as yangy here in our half pigeon, which is traditionally a yin pose, there still is a little bit of fire that's happening in that left hip and left glute. So we always want to remember that in every yang pose there's an element of yin, and every yin pose there's an element of yang. So they're there to perfectly balance each other out. So here in our yin pose, the rest of the body is relatively relaxed, but we do have a little bit of that micro work, or that micro fire, starting to happen in the connective tissue in the left side of the body. So we've got another 60 seconds here on the left side, or another 10 nice big yogi breaths. So if you're starting to feel like this is a little bit challenging, go ahead and give your thighs and your glutes a really nice big squeeze on the inhale, and then on your exhale, relax those big muscle groups. You might want to do that for a couple of breaths, squeezing to inhale the big muscle groups and exhale to completely release them. It just gives your brain that tiny bit of distraction as we hold here for these last few moments. All the way up. And this time we're just going to move our blocks or our cushions out from underneath us. We're going to come out of this side just that little bit differently, because we're going to come into our sleeping deer pose. So we're just going to lift the back knee as much as you need to collapse all the way down onto that left hip, and we're going to bring the right knee and shin to parallel to the right side of your mat. The left shin is going to come out in front. So you're almost creating this nice Z. I guess it's a Z-like shape with your knees and your feet. So left knee to the left edge of your mat with the shin coming across the mat. Right knee to the right edge of your mat with the shin coming down. Here is a really nice place to use your cushions or your bolsters, and we're going to place them to the left side of your body. So out from that left hip that we've just worked. From here, inhale to lift and lengthen all the way up through the spine as you take the hands to the hips. And on your exhale, we're just going to gently start to turn towards the left or towards that cushion and take the fingertips to the floor. Now you will notice that that back right hip is going to lift up a little bit, and that is perfectly okay here. So from this point, we're going to gently start to walk ourselves all the way down to on top of our cushion, cushions, cushion, block, however many you would like, so that you can start to rest the chest and the upper body down on your cushions and your block. For your head, you can take the right fist underneath, the left fist underneath the right, and then plant the head on top. So we're coming into our sleeping deer, which is a really nice twist through the thoracic part of the spine and through the belly, but also another really gentle hip opener. And we're going to stay here for a count of 10 nice big breaths. Really taking the time to become quite restful in these next few poses. And then on your next inhale, hands come back underneath the shoulders one by one to lift the upper body up. Walk your hands back to your hips and then unravel. So we're going to go for the exact same thing on the other side. So begin by picking up your props and your blocks and moving to the right. And then all you're going to do is switch the legs over. So this time we're coming more onto that right hip. The left shin and knee is going to be coming alongside that left side of your mat. Right knee to the right side of your mat with that right shin coming all the way forward. Again, hands come to the hips. Inhale to lengthen all the way up through the upper body. Exhale to twist to the right. As you do that, you'll notice that the left hip does want to lift off the floor, and that's perfectly okay. Hands are down to the left side of that mat, the right side of the mat, and we're going to start to slowly walk down onto our props, whether that's your two cushions or your bolster. So again, we're going to stay here on this side for 10 nice big breaths, taking the right fist on top of the left and relaxing the upper body down. And then hand by hand, we're going to come under each shoulder to lift the upper body up. Walking the hands back towards that right hip and unraveling. From here, we're going to take the legs all the way out towards the top of the mat and go for our strap. So whichever strap that you are using this morning, you can honestly use anything you've got in your house. So if you've got a nice long belt, you can use that one. If you have a towel, you can use a long towel. You can use your dressing gown strap, or you can use an actual yoga strap. So before we come to using our strap, we're just going to take it to the hips so we know where it is. We're going to come into our Baddha or our butterfly pose here. So bringing the feet together in the middle of your mat. Optional here as to how close you'd like to have your feet. So we'll just turn towards you so you can see for your Baddha. So you can have them quite close to the groin. You can have them further away in a nice little diamond shape. So we're still going to be working the inner hip flexors and the groin-like area, but it's also just slightly different foot positions for the outside of the thighs and the hips. I actually really like them quite close together, but the option's there for you. Hands are going to wrap around the toes. So if your toes are feeling a little bit cold this morning like mine are, it's a nice way to keep them warm, but it's also a really good anchor for this next pose. With our Baddha, or our butterfly pose, what we really want to achieve is this nice lengthening all the way up from the spine the whole way through, and this hinge-like action that's going to start happening from the hips and the groin. What we do want to avoid is a slump through the upper back and the shoulders. So we really don't want to be kind of curling down here. So once you've got your grip on your feet and you've got your foot placement, we're going to really gently start to inhale into an almost halfway lift-like position. So we're lifting up through the heart and through the chest, rolling those shoulders back. As you exhale, you're going to start to hinge forward from the hips. So we're imagining that we want to kind of plant the heart, down towards the mat. So we don't really need to go too far down here. We are working the groin as opposed to the upper back. So keep lengthening and lifting on your inhale, and on every exhale, gently hinging. I'm going to stay here for a few breaths. But with this in mind, we are going to be moving ever so slightly on each one of these breaths. So inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to hinge. Let's go for 5 more breaths. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to hinge. 4 more, looking for those wee micro movements. One more nice big inhale. Exhale to hinge. And very gently release. Nice work. Taking the legs all the way back out to the mat. And using the hands, you're going to come to lying all the way down on the floor. And here we go with our strap work. So I'm just going to move pillows, cushions and blocks away. And we're going to begin on the right leg. So picking up the right foot, take your strap to the ball of the foot. So not the middle of the foot, not the middle of the foot. We really want to be on the ball of the foot. We want to have enough strap length so that we can actually rest the elbows down on the mat. So we're going to begin here with the left knee bent and the right leg up in the air. So here, start to gently draw those toes towards the crown of the head. And as you do so, see if you can lift the big toe or the ball of the big toe up towards the ceiling or towards the roof. So we don't want to be collapsing through the inner arch of the foot. We want to almost be high-fiving the ceiling with the sole of the foot. We're going to hold here just for a nice big inhale and a nice long exhale. And then we're going to gently come a little bit closer towards the crown of the head. So from here, there's an option to lower that left leg or to keep it bent. It's up to you. I'm going to remain with mine bent this morning. My legs are pretty tight after a decent run yesterday. So I'm just going nice and slowly. And you might notice that my leg is already starting to shake. If yours is doing that as well, that's all good. It is working pretty hard. And just go gently. If your hamstrings are really tight and this is a challenging stretch to do, micro bend the right knee. Just make sure you keep your grip on the strap and on the foot. And here on each inhale, see if you can keep drawing those toes towards the crown of the head. And then keeping the foot and the leg where they are, we're going to bring the strap together and take a nice high grip with the right hand. Left arm is going to come all the way up to the left side and down to the floor in that half a T shape. And then as you exhale, you're just going to really gently start to bring that right leg all the way down to the right side. Again, to where your elbow and upper arm can rest like a little bit of a kickstand. From this point, take the left leg all the way down to the floor if it has been bent towards the center. I'm going for 3 nice big breaths here. And very gently on your next inhale, you're going to raise the right leg all the way up to the ceiling and switch the hands over. Again, a nice high grip, this time with the left arm. Right arm is going to come all the way down to the right side and down to the floor of the mat. And on your exhale, that right leg is going to cross the left side and come all the way out. So again, maintaining that grip on your strap, and this time we want to be kickstanding with that left upper arm and elbow. And then on your next inhale, coming all the way back up. And we're going to undo the strap and take the right leg down to the floor. And just give yourselves a couple of seconds here to notice any differences that you might feel with that right leg. There is often a sensation that the right leg becomes longer than the left. It's really just because we've decompressed and we've stretched and opened everything up on that right side, which we're going to do right now on the left. So bend the right knee, send the left leg all the way up. Catch hold of your left foot just underneath the ball of those toes with your strap. And from here, making sure you've got the grip on your strap, your towel, whatever it is you're holding on to, enough that you can relax the shoulders and the upper arms down to the mat. We're going to inhale to start to draw those toes towards the crown of the head. And again, the option is to always take that right leg down to the floor for this first one. Nice big breaths here. If the hamstring is particularly tight, micro bend that left knee. We want to avoid lifting up through that left hip. So keep on drawing up with the left leg, but keep that left hip down to the floor. And for this next one, keeping the left leg where it is, take the right leg down to the floor and then change your grip so you're holding onto your strap nice and high with that left hand. Right arm is going to come all the way out to the right, and we're just going to sink that left leg down towards the left side of your mat using the left upper arm for that kickstand. Going for 3 nice big breaths here as we stretch all the way up and through that inner part of the hamstrings. maybe even a little bit through the groin, depending on how high you are. And then from here on your next inhale, gently come all the way back up and switch those hands over. So right hand is going to grip hold of your strap, left arm coming all the way down as you exhale that left foot all the way over to the right, using the right upper arm, for a kickstand. 3 big breaths here. And then inhaling that left leg all the way back up. Undo your strap and take the left foot all the way down to the floor. And just notice the sensations that you can feel this time on the left side. And then popping your strap to the side, we're going to take the knees up towards the ceiling. And we're going to be going for our supported bridge here. And so you can use a block or a cushion, whichever one you prefer. It's going to be really nice and gentle. We're going to plant the feet enough so that we can start to lift the hips up off the floor and slide your block underneath your sacrum. If you don't have a block, go for the cushions. The cushions are actually really lovely because they can go under the sacrum with a little bit of extra squish for the upper part of the pelvis and in and around the lumbar area of the spine. So once you've got your position here with your supported bridge, take your hands to your belly. Relax the shoulders. Close down the eyes. And just start to let go of any deeper breathing that you've been doing through your practice. So we did a little bit of a yang practice to begin with, just to warm the body up, and finished with some longer holds in a couple of our yin poses, working more into the connective tissue of the big joints, mainly the hips here, but a little bit into the spine as well in our deer pose. So we're going to stay in our bridge for another 5 nice big breaths before we set up for our Shavasana. And then really nice and slowly on your next inhale, just take the hands down to alongside the body and lift the hips up enough so that you can slide out your block or pillow. We're setting up now for our Shavasana, so if you are feeling a little bit chilly this morning and you're on your living room floor, feel free to grab any socks or jumpers that you might like to put on. If you have a really gorgeous rug or throw in your living room, feel free to go ahead and grab that so that you can be quite cozy in your Shavasana this morning. All this beautiful autumn weather in Christchurch has definitely cooled things down. So once you're feeling snugly and you're feeling comfortable, come back to lying on your mat. Arms alongside the body here, palms facing up. Go ahead and wriggle through the shoulders, wriggle through the hips, and then just allow your feet to fall wherever they'd like to fall. Close down the eyes, relax the jaw. And just let your lungs take over with the breath. There is no conscious thought needed here for those inhales and exhales. Notice and listen to the sounds all around you. And give yourselves an inner smile, knowing that every sound that reaches your ears is quickly interpreted by the brain, even when we can't see it. And then give yourselves full permission to completely relax, to completely rest, just to be. And then really nice and slowly just start to bring a little bit of movement back into your fingers and your toes. Maybe even rotating the ankles and the wrists. You can move the head from side to side just to ease through the neck. And then when you're ready, rolling all the way over to the left or right sides of your mat. And just staying here for a moment. And then using the top hand to push down into the mat and lift yourselves up into a comfortable seated position. Even wrapping the blanket around your shoulders as you come up. So grounding down through the sitting bones, lengthening all the way up through the spine and out through the crown of the head. Hands coming to prayer at the heart center. Just give yourselves a few moments here of stillness. Just to thank yourselves for your practice and to set an intention for the rest of your day. Beautiful work, everyone. Namaste.